All right, we're back Tuesday night here in Redhook at the Function House, back for another edition of our show. And we'd like to welcome our special guest DJ tonight, DJ Phresh.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Phresh, what's going on?
Oh, man.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long while, bro. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
He's a veteran in New York City, this guy.
So I hear.
I feel like I'm new, though.
Nah, come on, man.
Nah, it's a constant, it's a constant hustle, so it never really gets old,
So how did you start? How did you start DJing?
Ooh, I started in '95 when a friend of mine had his set up in his house, and I don't know, dude used to hustle, so he had everything. So I saw his turntables, went over there, fell in love immediately, then saw like Juice the week after.
Yo,
and
Juice inspired a ton of DJs.
Juice was like a virus that just hit the city.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Juice was a big inspiration in that movie.
I think everybody loved the cutting in that movie, right?
Yeah,
Even
but the
though it was
cut,
so
if you notice, the cut was
so
fake in that
But
movie.
the cut was so fake,
Yeah.
and then everything about it was just not what a DJ battle was.
I wonder who did the cuts. I gotta look that up. I want to see who did the cuts in Juice.
Yeah.
But yeah, once I saw that, I was just hooked. After that, I got my own setup and buying records every single week like an addict and just going crazy.
So you're originally from the Bronx, though.
Yeah, so I grew up in the South Bronx, and now I live in Brooklyn, so that's a little bit of like best of both worlds when it comes to music in New York City. So
Where are you in Brooklyn?
I'm in Bushwick now.
Okay.
So
It's funny you gravitated towards Brooklyn because like Brooklyn don't go to the Bronx and the Bronx don't come to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn and the Bronx were like sworn enemies back in like the 80s and 90s, so it's just kind of bugged out to be living there now. Like I feel like I crossed enemy territory. But everything's different now. It's changed,
Yeah, of course.
But hip hop in the Bronx in the 80s, man, that's where it started, right?
Yeah, but like it was just a vibe. It was more of a culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everywhere you went, it was just hip hop was everywhere. It was like life.
It was
Now
like
it's just
hip-hop,
like industry.
graffiti, you had all
Yeah,
the
hip hop,
crews,
graffiti,
right?
crews. You had like Zulus, and everybody was repping. Everybody repped their own blocks.
Yes,
Everybody was competitive.
But this guy plays everything though. Like he was always into all different types of music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so growing up, I was predominantly into hip hop. I really hated my parents' music. I couldn't stand like that old 70s and funk and soul shit. I was just like, what is this? Like, why are you playing this? But then eventually, like, I got a little bit older and I got appreciation for it, I started realizing that a lot of my favorite hip hop records come from those records. And I was like, oh shit, well, I need to start digging now. I pulled out my parents' records, started digging through all their vinyl, had them yelling at me, talking about like, why you messing up our records, trying to scratch
So
whatever.
you housed all their records?
I housed all their records, put them in my sleeves, and just ran with it. Because, it was funny, though, looking at their collections, they were part of a whole different kind of culture, like that 70s funk disco culture.
Yeah.
So everybody would have like these house parties, and they would bring their records over. So everybody's names was on the records, so they would know who's joints.
Yeah.
So I just saw how like my parents just pretty much snatched up everybody else's. And I was like, damn, that's fucking Debo status. Like, so I guess it was meant to be,
That was better for your collection.
Yeah, so,
Right.
but they never like wrote BPMs or any of the stuff that we did on the records,
Yeah.
They never understood what I was doing. They just heard noises in the room.
So the house parties back in the day, they were all hip hop parties.
Yeah, everything was a hip hop party. Actually, everything was like a hip hop party or like a reggae bashment party. So if you were growing up as a hip hop DJ in the Bronx, you pretty much had to play dancehall and hip hop. You had to have that on lock. And if you were like deep in the Bronx, you had to really represent for like the salsa and merengue and stuff like that,
Yep.
So you came up in the Bronx. What was the first club that you got introduced to in the city? Well, let's not say DJing. Where was the first club you went out to that really like inspired you?
Inspired or that let me in? Nah, I want to say like Jimmy's Bronx Cafe.
Yeah,
It was like a big one, major influence. A lot of us used to go down to Copacabana. That was
Tuesday
like
night party, after work party.
teen night. Teen night used to be real, really real. And then there was also like Carbon back in the day. So
Yeah,
those were like my
Carbon.
main three,
Yeah.
So,
Did you get a chance to play at any of them?
what's funny is that by the time I actually started playing, they were just gone already, Jimmy's, I think they moved down to Manhattan. Copa moved over to like, what was it, 42nd Street or
57th
something?
Street,
Yeah, 52nd Street.
It
By the
moved
time-
around a few times.
Yeah, by the time I was actually in the game, that shit was already gone,
So when you finally got into the game, who was it that found you, or who was it that actually put you on in the club?
I want to say it happened on different levels. So at first, I had another DJ friend that kind of put me on. He let me do his gig at Bowery Bar, and I just took over. And that was DJ Sabo. You know Will Sabo.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was kind of discovered playing at Morgan's Hotel Bar. And that was just like, a guy would come in, he would check me out, he would say, yo, you're dope. Why are you only playing here? So then he decided he wanted to put me on. And then
Who was that guy?
my friend Jeremy. Well, my now friend Jeremy. So, you know, once that happened, it was just like a wrap. He connected me with 4 a.m., Adam and Ari, and then it just took off from there.
What year was this around?
I want to say it was like 2005, 2006. But before that, I was doing clubs, but it was just like DJing to be DJing, you know what I mean? Because you just love DJing. You weren't really interested in hot spots. You didn't know what was what. But they kind of put me onto that whole scene. And like,
It gets a little complicated.
yeah, it gets weird. It's
right? Like it was. I felt it was a lot easier when the cool places didn't exist, right?
Yeah, because you just did your gigs and it didn't really matter. You were just having fun. It was like a weekend thing. You got your vinyl together. We were still playing vinyl. You burned CDs if you didn't have the songs yet. And you just played and it didn't really matter, you know? It wasn't about dressing up or trying to impress people
And
or
you were
anything.
playing the whole night open to close.
Yeah, you played
right?
the whole night, open to close, vinyl, come in with your boys, leave by yourself, have all the vinyl by yourself. You know, this typical DJ story in New York. Now it's a little bit different, you know?
Yeah.
So
what are you doing now? What clubs are you at now? I still
now
see
I'm
you
playing,
working a lot.
Yeah, I'm mostly playing a lot of Tao Group. I do Avalon, Mohegan, a lot of out-of-state stuff. I DJ in Dallas, Fort Worth, you know, all over the place.
Still on 4 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So how many nights a week are you DJing?
Right now, probably like 3 or 4. I kind of want to chill out though, because like that whole 7 nights a week deal, I was doing that, and you just kind of get burnt out. That's not really the thing you want to do.
So when you're playing so many nights a week, you feel like it's repetitive?
Yeah, you still. So basically, what happens is it gets repetitive, and you start feeling like you're not sure if you played that song already, and it's hard to get excited about it because when you go to the room and you're playing the same exact things for the same exact crowds with the same exact promoters, there's nothing to really get you as excited and engaged about it. You know what I mean?
So it becomes a job.
Yeah, it becomes a job, and I didn't really get into it because it was a job. I got into it because it was fun.
Well, it only becomes a job, I feel, because you don't want to sound predictable. You don't want nobody in the crowd saying, he's going to drop this next, you know? Like, you don't want to be predictable. And
that's the thing, is that a lot of people don't realize is that when you get busy, you don't have the time to actually download new music, look into new transitions and practice and get your drills in. I think that's a major important part to like keeping it fresh and new. But if you're too busy DJing 7 nights a week, you can't really dedicate the time it takes toward bringing them something new. You know?
But the plus is when you're DJing 7 nights a week, you're on top of everything because, you know, you're out, you know what records are working.
Yeah, you know it works, you're on top of your game, but it's very, very easy to get into a rut or like stuck in a loop. One of the things that I hear a lot of like managers and promoters complain about is like DJs that play the same sets over and over and over. They're like, yo, this guy comes here every week. He plays the same set. Yo, this is boring. But they don't get it. That they're still hiring, but it's weird, man. It's like a double-edged sword. You have to play the set because that's what works. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. But at the same time, it's like
it becomes stale.
It gets stale, and then it just.
But I think that back in the days of vinyl, though. You know, you were limited.
Yeah, you were very limited
in what records you could bring to the club. And to be honest with you, a lot of DJs were playing the same sets.
Yeah.
And actually, sometimes the people used to look forward to some of the records that DJ was going to drop because it was the same DJ at the same club every week.
Yeah.
Right. And it was the same rotation of records. So it's like when you're looking at a folder in Serato, it's just like it's very easy to just keep going to the next song.
Yeah. Especially when there's that one night that you murder it. You're like, you just name that crate murder.
Yeah,
it just stays in Serato.
Or if like you're at, you know, you're doing a night and you're struggling, and then you're like, all right, well, I got to go with what works. I know this is
the murder
work.
crate.
You know, I mean, that happens.
Yeah, but you know what I noticed is that we kind of raised the bar to a point where people expect more. So we're past the days of vinyl where you could just play that set and be comfortable about it.
Yeah.
You got to kind of find a middle road between performing as like a DJ artist and party rocking.
Yep.
So now it's kind of like if you just go and you did a mix like you did back in the 90s, people be like, yo, this is boring. Like, it's not, there's no two-step music anymore.
You know what
Nobody's
I
trying to
feel?
do
I
that,
feel like the attention span of the kids that are out now, you got to be quick. You got to be in and
Yeah.
out of records. You're
Yeah,
probably
definitely.
playing like 100 more records than you used to.
Yeah. I mean, at one point I remember looking at my Serato crate and thinking like, yo, did I really just play 700 songs? Like, what the?
Yeah,
Like
quick
600,
mixing.
700 songs in one night?
Well, it's like
Impossible.
Well, I mean, what's the longest you're playing a record for? A minute and a half, 2 minutes? I mean,
Yeah, but then you have segues and just stuff that you're like acapella loops and all the other different tracks and DJ tools and stuff that you're throwing in. You could literally go through like 500 records like that. It's kind of crazy.
So when do you have time to develop new routines, or do you dedicate any type of time to doing that?
You know what I kind of started to do? I tried to, I never put together a set. People hate me for that shit. But I try to get better at the function of DJing so that like the
I
machine.
can't use the function word.
Nah, but real talk, like you want to have it so that you're like a trained machine that can be fed new material, but you just know what to do with it when you hear it and when you get it, as opposed to having something that you're locked into. So what I like doing is I'll have like my blocks, like, all right, these 5 or 10 songs work together and I could use them to pivot to something new.
Yep.
So like that gives me time to think. So people don't realize like if you're playing off a list, you get stale. But if you're playing those 5 automatic songs, your brain can like go off on a tangent and say, yo, I can hit them with this and then do this, and you can really set it up.
So
Yep.
when you're looking through Serato, do you have to visualize the records, or you have them here and you're typing in songs to play?
I legitimately will play one record and then the next one will just pop in my head.
And then you're
Just
searching
because-
for it, or it's already
Yeah,
there
you just
for you?
I go and I search for it. I don't have like those crates that are like over super meticulous.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I download and I'm saying, all right, this is August,
Yeah.
September, but like I know DJs that have like the subgenres and the speeds.
Yeah,
and
I get
keys
jealous when I
and-
see certain DJs setups because I
I
wish
do.
I was that organized.
But they're like the newer DJs. Like I started MP3 DJing when Final Scratch was like a thing, and you
Yeah.
had to like reboot the computer into Linux. So like our MP3 game was whack. Like we had like 96
Yeah.
kilobyte MP3s that sounded like garbage.
So it wasn't Serato that put you on to.
I was already doing it before that, you know.
Yeah, well, Final Scratch, right? Was
Yeah.
Before Serato.
Stanton
Yeah.
Final
Yeah,
Scratch.
I
That's what
remember.
all the vinyl DJs jumped on because they were like crates.
I was late. I was late on jumping on the vinyl. Like it took me a while to get on Serato.
Yeah, so like if you started in like I want to say 2010, we already did all the work. So we already made all the mistakes. Now you know how to organize a crate based on like what you see our crates looking like, straight chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But little by little, you know, I got into it. But
So how active are you on social media? It plays a major part of DJing today.
I should be way more active than I am, and it is important. But I personally feel like if you're busy online, you're not busy doing what people are supposed to know you for, you know? You should keep time for that. You should try to plan it out, be authentic about it, have your voice. But if you're online for like 6 hours a day, like on some like Trump shit, like you're not getting the job done.
What do you feel about people just like talking to the world every day on their Snapchat or InstaChat or all that stuff?
I mean, to each his own, but for me, it's just kind of like, bro, I'm trying to get better at what I do. So if I'm not in the club, I should be in the studio. If I'm not in the studio, I should be like watching some videos on how to be a better producer or how to be a better DJ, you know what I mean? You got to keep learning.
It's weird because like if you're in the studio and you're trying to better yourself, the world wants to see that.
Yeah.
You know, so you're supposed to be on live while you're in the studio. You know,
Yeah, for
like-
sure. And you know, the thing is though, is that what I've noticed is that it's a different demographic. So like I go online, I go on Instagram, and I actually start making beats live on Instagram just because. But it's not the 21-year-old girl in the club that's watching that. It's like you or like other DJs, other producers that are like, word, that's dope. I didn't know that that's how you did that, you know?
Right.
So it's like for the culture mostly.
Yep.
But
Well, that's like this show.
yeah, and it's like everybody else, they don't want to see that. They want to see you like surrounded with sour patches and like You know what I'm saying? Like going crazy, like stealing donuts or something out the store or whatever.
So before the show, we were talking about maybe some different eras of music and what eras are really good, and we brought up the 90s. So talk to us about like the 90s era of music and what that era of music was to everybody. I mean, that was actually a good
Well,
era
was that
of
your
music.
favorite era? Was the 90s, you'd say?
I know I should say 90s, but for me it was more like 2000s because I felt like that was the peak of hip hop, and I'm just like the #1 hip hop fan when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But what I did love about the 90s was the 90s was kind of converging. It was house music, freestyle music, Latin music, hip hop music. Everything was all at the same level. So at least in New York City. And you know, our major radio station, Hot 97, was still playing everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, when you could turn on the radio and be influenced by everyone's culture, that means something's happening. There's like some progress. We're kind of seeing eye to eye, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now everything is so like separate and divisive that it doesn't really represent what the dance floor is supposed to be about, you know?
Well, you just said it. You turned on the radio and you got inspired. Like,
Yeah.
there was like Saturday night dance parties on Hot 97, and I used to record them.
Yeah.
You know, that's like I used to sit there and I used to listen to Glenn Fisher, his Saturday night dance party.
And then go into the record store on Sunday, like, yo, you have that record.
bringing the tape with me. Like, I need this.
Dude, I was a fiend. We had a record store called, I think it was, well, I used to go to Beach Street. I would go to, what's the joint on Fordham?
Oh,
A Music Factory.
Yeah, Music Factory.
And then Uptown Records, and it was just like every single week, every time I got a check, a little bit of money, a little bit of allowance, anything was like, let me get this, that, let me get the Crooklyn Clan vinyl.
Did you ever try to like get onto the promotional lists with the record labels? Did you ever do that?
So a funny story is that I think it was, I want to say, I forgot what it was. It was like a Jay-Z vinyl I bought once, right? And they had a flyer inside that said, hey, if you want to be on the street team, come to something John Street or whatever, give us a call. So I wound up calling, and it was actually the last day that they were at that office. And they said, yo, dude, come down right now. Like, you could be on the street team. I come down there, and I wound up like working for Rockefeller for like a year.
Wow.
But in that process, having that relationship, I wound up getting Loud Records, Rockefeller Records, everything on Red Distribution, like literally all these vinyl for free. The problem with that is that I was literally like playing all their free stuff and not trying to like run to the record stores anymore to buy, like, you know.
Yeah.
But it was dope though, you know, it was a different experience, you know.
So you must have met a lot of people.
Yeah. And I also saw that what they don't have now that they had before was like vinyl days at record labels. Like Def Jam had like Thursdays or something that you would go get promotional vinyl, and you would have all the DJs lined around the block looking like crack fiends, just waiting just to get the new vinyl. But it was dope because it was also a part of the culture, you know? You really saw who was really about it. Nobody was really faking it if you had to wait 2 hours to get some vinyl, you know what I mean?
So if there was one DJ that inspired you coming up, who would it be?
It's hard to say one, but
Well, give me three.
early on, it was pretty much Funkmaster Flex and Kid Capri. Flex, he was on the radio, he was savage.
Yeah.
I think I could speak for everybody. We would sit at home and like try to figure out the scratches and emulate everything that he was doing. And then I saw Kid Capri for the first time, and that dude's like an octopus when he's DJing.
Yo, Kid Capri used to bring 20 crates to the club.
But dude, he would like,
He used to bring 20 crates.
he would talk, right? Scratch at the same time and have his other hand dipped in the back, pulling out the next record without looking. Now, I know that sounds crazy, like that's simple, but that's not simple when you think about the dexterity behind that.
Of course.
It's like, damn, this dude's a savage.
First time I seen him play was in Vegas, House of Blues.
Yeah, I saw
The
him in
whole
Miami.
stage was crates, like literally 20 crates of records. And there was
Yo.
records everywhere. He wouldn't even put them back in the sleeve. They were just all over the place.
Yeah,
And at the end of the night, when he was done, he would put them back.
dude's a beast. Dude's a beast. And he doesn't take the plane or something like that, right? He just drives everywhere.
Bus.
Savage.
Well,
I saw him.
he
I
doesn't
saw
like
him.
to fly?
Yeah, he doesn't like to fly.
So what about now? Is there somebody now that you would go out to listen to, or somebody you keep track of?
See, I used to be like a party person, and I always used to want to go out. But now, if I'm not DJing, I don't want to go out. I don't even want to see the inside of a club.
It's like going to the office.
Yeah, it's like going to the office and just hanging out with your coworkers for no reason. Like, why would you do that? But it's not anything against any DJs out now. I just don't really see inspiration because I'm not trying to look at what other people are doing. Like, I'm pretty focused on like what my goals are, and I've learned that you got to kind of like not worry about what other people are doing. You know what I mean? Because then you start sounding like other people, or you start trying to emulate other people, and I don't think that's a good thing for the culture. I think that what we lost is, it was that sense of seeing something dope and then saying, oh, I have to go home and do something better. I feel like now a lot of people they see something, they're like, oh, that's dope.
I'm going to do it.
Shazam! I'm going to do it.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to do it for half.
Well, they don't even have to, I mean, they don't even have to go out. I mean, it's just right there in their face on social media constantly, you know? Yeah,
but that's the thing. It was funny. I had a G Brown staying with me last week. You know G Brown, right?
That's my man, G Brown.
Yeah, he was just telling me, he's like, yo, we were actually talking about how, I think it was like a Scratch Academy interview that he had done, where I think it was him and I forgot the DJ's name, but it was like another mixtape DJ, and dude had heard his mixtape and was like, oh shit, his mixtape kills mine. I gotta go do my mixtape over and make it better. I don't feel like that happens anymore. I feel like people are legit saying, yo, that's a dope track list, that's a dope order, let me take that same exact thing and do it. And it's okay. Yeah. And like, there's no one to call them out on it. And it is what it is, but you know, it's just kind of...
Well, it's also because of the saturation of the DJ game.
Yeah, but it is oversaturated, but there was still a lot of DJs back in the day. I just felt like the limits were higher, like the standards were higher.
Yeah, there was more unwritten rules.
There were
back
rules
in
to
the
it.
day than there are today. Today, there's really no rules as to what
you didn't bite someone's mix.
Yeah, and there was an investment. You had to make an investment in it.
Yeah.
Now you don't really have to make an investment of time.
When it was vinyl, you actually had to have money to buy vinyl. So if you weren't working, you wouldn't have money to buy the vinyl.
You can't just get it like that.
Yeah. So if you weren't working, you weren't in the clubs.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't have the records to rock a party.
And your parents weren't giving you the money to go buy those.
Yeah. Like, no, can I get enough money to copy this guy's set? Like, that wasn't happening. Like,
it's like today, if you spent $100 on MP3s, you're gonna have like a 3 hours worth of music.
Yeah. I mean, now it's to the point you don't even have to do that. You just pay for like, was it like Post Locker and $20 a month, and you're right in there.
And you get anything you want.
Yeah, anything you want right on the spot.
Most of the MP3 sites are $20 a month. You get everything. Yeah.
I think CrooklynClan.net is like that now also.
Yeah.
You pay a membership fee and...
Yeah.
Which is dope, but you know, like I said, it's just, I think we're in a weird place right now, but I think that always happens in every industry and every art form. Things get a little stale, and then they get a little weird, and then they reset. So I think we're at that point where everything's about to reset.
What do you think about the longevity of DJ careers?
I think that...
Open format DJs.
Open format DJs, yeah.
I think the open format DJs that are still around are the ones that are dedicated to it. The ones that don't quit when it gets hard or when everything turns to shit. You know what I mean? I think that you can be around long term as long as you're focused on making yourself something special. Like, if you're independent, you're different, you can stick around as long as you serve the purpose.
Right.
Rock the party, kill it, be consistent and reliable, you'll be the man forever. But once you become unreliable, inconsistent, and not special and sounding like everybody else, what's the point? You know, why am I gonna go to you when there's like 1,000 other people that can sound like everybody else for half that price?
How do you become that special guy?
Beef up on your skills, man. Like, you gotta remix, you gotta edit, you gotta bootleg, you gotta be a personality on the mic. You can't just be on the mic just rambling like, yo, where's my Virgos at? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you just have to take everything to the next level, but you also have to put your own personal signature on it, you know? I think that's the major key and sticking around. A lot of people don't realize that because they're too busy trying to get on, that they forgot how to be themselves. You know what I mean? And you're gonna get on. Like, if there's any new DJs out there, you're gonna get on. As long as you're doing you and you're killing it, you're gonna get on. It's just inevitable. But I think a lot of people just wanna rush it. They want that instant, like, gratification. I need it now. Yo, this guy got on, I need to get on. Somebody put me on. It's like, nah. No one's putting you on. Once you dedicate a certain amount of time to something, you just get on.
So
Because pressure busts pipes, you know?
Nobody's paying dues. They're just trying to get on.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that do pay dues that get it and they're out there, but having an unstable system of rewards makes it hard for that guy.
Yeah.
Because he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, and he's looking around and like saying, yo, that girl's topless DJing and she's headlining. Like, I've been opening for 6 months or a year and I yet to headline. But us as senior DJs also have to do a better job at giving those opportunities.
Yeah.
Which means we have to control our night, you know? Like, when you go to a venue and there's an opener that came from over here and then the closer that came from over there, it's hard to develop a reward system for the guys that really put in that work.
So do you have someone that you like put on, like that you let open up for you?
I put on DJs all the time, bro.
Yeah.
Like, now it's at the point where I just kind of like get people easy gigs because I know everybody wants to just be individual. But whenever I can, I use an opener that I know can hold it down, you know? I'm totally down for that, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's just one of those things where you don't always have that opportunity because you don't control that every time, you know? The expectations are way higher for DJs now than ever.
Yo, well, I appreciate you coming here and sitting with us.
Nah, thanks for having me, bro.
You should plan something special for us?
Not at all.
Never plan anything, right?
He's gonna pivot.
Dude, I literally always play off the top of my head. I'm not always, but you know, most of the time. So.
Well, thanks for coming down, and we're looking forward to hearing your set, man.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, bro. All right, we're going to take a 2-minute break. We're going to get Phresh up on the turntables. Peace.